Hello, this is Revyoutuber. I like to review things. I can review, well, basically anything, just whatever comes to mind, kind of a video blog. Um, and it's mostly going to be movies and anime and comics, video games, whatever I've played unless anybody wants to send me stuff to review or request stuff to review. I wouldn't mind doing that. Right now, though, we're going to review quickly a movie I've seen recently, a new release called All the Money in the World. Hopefully you've seen a little bit about it on trailers, on TV, anywhere. But the basic premise is that this is supposed to be a movie based on real events. How real or close to the truth it is, I don't know, because I don't know the events that well. But that doesn't matter too much. You can always go see the movie without any prior knowledge, and sometimes that even helps out. I know I've seen other movies and seen reviews for other movies based on true events, and people will be like, oh, this part of it wasn't true, or that part of it wasn't true, so I don't like it. But I'm not sure that really matters too much in grading the movie or enjoying it. But anyways, so this movie, again, based on true events, it's about, I guess it takes place in the 70s-ish. I guess there is someone who is a super richest person in the world, first billionaire or whatever, and he kind of doesn't know his son very well. Well, you get to meet his son first, who's kind of living in poor bring-up, even though his father's the richest person in the world, just because they don't know each other very well. He's gone and gotten married to someone not based on his fortune, but just based on him. They had several kids. They're living kind of poor. He, I think, gets fired from his job or doesn't have any work, so his wife is like, hey, you know, your father's super rich. Why don't you ask him if you can join the business or get some money or whatever? And the story is his pride has kept him from wanting to be part of that because he doesn't like his father. His father wasn't really a father to him, so he doesn't really want to be a part of his father's life. But they go ahead. His father allows him into the business, and the father, which would be Paul Getty, seems like he's happy and fun to have his family back in his life. He really likes his grandchildren, specifically John Paul Getty III, which would be the grandson that's named after him. Takes a liking to him, kind of teaches us things. Well, flash forward to the future, and John Paul Getty III, the grandson, is in Italy, just goofing around, doing stuff he probably shouldn't be, and he gets kidnapped, held for ransom because his grandfather's the richest person in the world. Well, his grandfather, which as you see is they show him as a very penny-pinching kind of personality, refuses to pay the ransom because he wants to keep his money, even though he says he loves his grandson over and over. He doesn't want to give up money for him. Well, the mother, actually at this point in the movie, the mother's divorced from the father. The mother being Gail Harris is divorced from the father. It was probably John Paul Getty II. Yeah. John Paul Getty II is living in the Middle East, just, I guess, binging on drugs and not really worrying about the world. The mother is afraid for her son's safety. And the movie goes from there, trying to get the son back, even though the richest person in the world doesn't care enough to pay the ransom. And the mother, who would pay the ransom, doesn't have the ransom to pay. So I thought it was a thrilling movie. It kept me interested the whole way through. The acting was good enough. The story was exciting enough. I liked how it looked like the 70s. It was filmed like it was in the 70s. Like the foreign aspect of it, as a lot of it takes place in Italy. And I don't have a whole lot of negative to say about it. If anything, I'd say the worst part would be the ending of it is kind of, without spoiling too much. I try not to spoil too much, although I like to talk enough about it so that people understand what I'm talking about. But anyways, the ending of it kind of ramps up and ramps up and ramps up to kind of a ridiculous proportion, considering that it's supposed to be based on real events. A lot of times the climaxes of these types of movies are ramped up to be more exciting because real life often isn't that exciting. But it wasn't too far blown to where I think it ruined the movie. It was just kind of... Instead of being into the movie at the time, I was thinking, was this real? And that's not really how it should be. But my props to all the actors, all the performers. I don't really have much to nitpick about it. I just say I enjoyed it. It's a good thriller film. It's got good characters. I guess I would give it, a 4 out of 5 or 8 out of 10. Actually, I like to do scores out of 10 because people like to do scores out of 5, but then they'll give it a half. So like 4.5 out of 5 is like a 9 out of 10, because if you times everything by 2, it is 9 out of 10. So then if you're going to do scores, I don't see the purpose of doing half scores, because you could always times it by 2 and get an exact score instead of a half score. If you're doing 4.5 out of 5, you're not doing out of 5, you're doing out of 10, and that would be 9 out of 10. But anyways, I would say 8 out of 10. Something I like to do is compare what I think of the movie to what expert reviewers think of the movie. It's because I seem to often differ on opinions with them. And I like to think that I differ because I like to look at movies in a couple different ways. One, entertainment, and two, artistically or critically. I think if you're looking at a movie critically, you could see it differently than you do when you're looking at it entertainment-wise. For example, I might like a movie even though critically it's not a good movie. Or I might dislike a movie even though critically it is a good movie. Or technically, critically, however you want to frame it. Anyways, let's see. This is from the Boston Globe. It says a better movie title might have been All the Movies in the World. We get the thrillers of sorts and a crime movie of sorts. Explaining it, he says it's a Roman Duris as a kidnapper gives the most appealing performance. It's also a morality tale crossed with family melodrama. I mean, that's not the first thing that comes to mind when I think of this movie, is that it's got too many genres mixed into it. By the way, he gives it 2.5 out of 4, which I guess is like a 5 out of 8. Yeah, I guess, I mean, there's a little bit of thriller in it. I mean, I'd say the whole thing is kind of a thriller. A crime movie, I mean, there are mafiosos in it, but it's not about mafiosos. It's just they're the crime syndicate of Italy, so they're picked out as the villains. The kidnapper, Roman Duris playing the kidnapper, was a really good performance. I thought he was very sympathetic, or turned very sympathetic, even though he was the kidnapper. He was trying to help out while still trying to get his money. He was trying to not get the kid killed, and ends up eventually helping them in a big way. I suppose that is about around where I would rate the movie. I guess maybe a little lower, 5 out of 8, or 2.5 out of 4. I'd is a little lower. I'd have to read the whole review to find out exactly what he thinks, but I'm just looking at these tidbits. So Chicago Sun-Times gives it 3.5 out of 4, which is more around where I'm at. For a time, this movie will probably be best known for the behind-the-scenes drama, but the work itself deserves to endure as one of the better films of 2017. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, the film does show you a lot of behind-the-scenes, whereas I guess the real events you got to see in front of the scenes. You know, you got to see the camera reporters, the interviews. But this is kind of behind the scenes, the mother dueling the grandfather over getting funds for the kidnapping's ransom. And it also shows you the kidnapping as it's going on, what the kid is going through, what the kidnappers are going through, and how the backwoods of Italy plays out. So I guess that is a little more on pace to me. And here's a dissenting opinion from the New Yorker. The cast seems overall unguided, left to their own devices, as if each were acting alone in a booth. And the drama is similarly detached and hermetic. I mean, I don't agree, but those are just opinions that I guess someone could have. I don't feel like the cast weren't interacting with each other. I feel like when they were with each other, they were interacting very well. Just because part of the story takes place here and part of the story takes place there doesn't mean that they're acting on their own. The drama similarly detached and hermetic. I don't really think that either. I mean, I guess what he's expecting, this Richard Brody is expecting, is a smooth tale that's just constantly dramatic, I guess. But I mean, movies have to have up and down points, and especially when it's based on real events, it isn't just that smooth, really. I thought it was smooth enough of a introduction up to the climax and then resolve. But I don't know what he's looking for. Let's look at a user review really fast. 2.5 stars out of 4, I guess is what this is. Not even all the money in the production budget could seamlessly replace Kevin Spacey with Christopher Plummer. Director Ridley Scott claimed that it only took 4 days to reshoot all the scenes, and it looks like it. I forgot about that momentarily. Kevin Spacey was supposed to play, I guess, the main bad guy for this. Let's see here. Yeah, John Paul Getty. Which would be a perfect, pretty much a perfect role for him to play, except that he's a lot younger. But I thought the role was played well as it was. I didn't think Christopher Plummer did a bad job. I don't think it looks rushed. I just think this reviewer might be trying to sound smart, really. But that does remind me towards the end of the film. There's just one awkward scene that I think wasn't because of the actor. I didn't think it was rushed. I just don't understand why it was put in like it was, without spoiling too much of it. Just take a look towards the end of the scene, the last scene with John Paul Getty, and you'll know what I'm talking about. It just seems kind of out of place. It didn't really work up to it. It had kind of plot holes, I guess, small plot holes as to why is this happening and why didn't this happen. But it definitely didn't ruin the film. It just thought, why is that there? Anyways, I hope that this review was fun and helpful, and I'll try to do more stuff and hopefully refine my reviews to be more entertaining and more thoughtful. Please keep watching. Thank you.